The domestic debt is around 5 trillion. Okay? So approximately, we have around 11 trillion. In 1 year in office, Ruto has taken a debt of 2.6 trillion Kenya shillings. That is only a quarter of what Uhuru took in his first term as a president of the Republic of Kenya. In his first term, the current president was a deputy president in 2013 to 2017. When decisions are made in the cabinet, where he was sitting, part of the decision makers. The allegations of corruptions to a tune of billions and billions from Aurora and Kimwarer dams, which just disappeared, to Eurobond, which are allegedly, the president's name was mentioned in those scandals. So during that period, he was a main factor in it, a main beneficiary in it. Why should he cry now that the previous boss took the money while he was serving as the second in command? He didn't come out to talk about it as at that time. Why didn't he? He should have come out to talk about it. So right now, because they don't know how to manage, we keep on blaming others. You cannot blame people forever. The country you've been given, why do you blame your people? If you are not ready, resign. If you put me in State House there, I can deliver.
But even you, when you're given a loan by the bank, they give you some time for you to fix, to use the money up and to, start getting it together. So even, how much time do you think, maybe half the term, he needs half the term for him to start now turning over a profit? Kibe, because Kenya is a company, right?
Kibe, taking a loan is not a problem, has never been a problem. Why? Because there is a great economist in history called Franco Modigliani, an Italian-American economist. Okay? Franco Modigliani came up with a theory called the life cycle hypothesis, where he told us that you can enjoy what you ought to have enjoyed in 70 years' time. You can enjoy it now and then repay it as you approach your 70 years. That is the origin of the mortgage system, the origin of the loan system. That taking a loan is not a problem. But you can't take loan to pilfer, to defraud, to steal, to misappropriate. You can't take loans for corruption. You can't take loans for patrimonialism, where you want to favor your people. You can't take loan for recurrent expenditure. You must take loan for development.
Why do we still have international bodies and countries like China giving out loans to the president of this nation? Is it that you're not reading the political atmosphere of Kenya to be able to see and realize that Kenyans are not even in agreement with the government at this point? Is it that you're not reading the political atmosphere to see that we are going to elect a new breed of leaders come 2027? Most of the people who are sitting in power right now will not be coming back. And when this new breed of leaders come, they will be very radical in their thinking, very radical in the processes that need to be employed to get Kenya where it needs to get to. They'll be very radical. And they will begin to ask some very difficult questions. Like, for example, China has given out this amount of loans to Kenya. We cannot trace them to any development. Hatuwezi trace to any project. Must we repay them? Kenyans are trying to strategize on how we are going to get new leaders. Kenyans will get your whole entire team of MPs who will sit and argue in parliament and decide that this loan has been declared odious and we're not paying it back, and that is how we shall move. Kenyans will give you a president who will sit and decide that IMF has given us this amount of loans in the past 3 years, in the past 5 years. We do not think that by repaying them back or by forcing ourselves to pay it back, we are going to be advancing as a nation. So it is either you go rethink on your terms, rethink on your interest rates, or we are going to declare it odious also all the same. So it's a call for these nations, for these international bodies. Please read the political atmosphere in Kenya and sit and have a discussion on whether you're going to keep on giving the president loans. And it's so interesting because some of these loans, especially being given by these international bodies, they don't give these loans to African nations with the intention that they develop and they get out of loans and debts. It is with the intention that you keep being dependent upon us, you keep sinking deeper and deeper into this sinkhole of debts, and we cripple you as a nation. So you'll be very surprised when we have radical leaders who will sit and question such ideologies and decide that we are not going to repay back these loans. These people will have to sit and rethink of their interest rates and the time allocated for each loan to be repaid. Otherwise, we're not going to pay them back.
There is being suicidal as a country. There is being careless with a country. And then there is this madness. Mimi nataka nakucheza hii video usikize. And then you tell me how it is that bado haujaingia kwa bado wagon ya kusema one term na kusema fakia wote. Kwa sababu if what Ndindi Nyoro is factual and true, wadau, the people wenye wanaongoza nchi yetu ni watu ambao wako na wazimu. They are not normal. Ni watu ambao they have problems in the head. If what Ndindi Nyoro is truly saying is true, that mbali na ile deni yenye tuko nayo ya 12 trillion yenye inatuumiza, inafanya tunataksiwa kila siku, inafanya kila siku gava inakuja na finance bill mpya, that hizi vitu zenye mnaona kina Talanta Stadium zenye zimejengwa na almost 40 something billion, hiyo ni deni nyingine yenye iko kwa 12 trillion. Ati hizi ma expansions za barabara zinaongelelewa zitafanywa za Nakuru highway, hiyo ni part yenye iko kwa ile 12 trillion. Ati every other thing yenye inafanywa, it is not part of that 12 trillion. Kwa hivyo kumaanisha deni yote yenye tuko nayo ikiongezewa itakuwa almost 13, 14 or 15 trillion odau. Already tukiwa na deni ya 12 trillion odau, this government imekuwa ikileta finance bill mpya kila siku ya kumake sure ina tax every single thing in Kenya. Listen to Ndindi Nyoro and then tell me how it is that bado how understand when we are saying lazima utufagie wote na lazima hii serikali as a whole iende home, kwa sababu watu ni wenda wazimu na ni watu ambao they don't care about this country. They only care about enriching themselves. Ndindi Nyoro anauliza vizuri, can the government please tell us wamekuwa kiboro 1.2 trillion every year, which makes sense because wadau mimi nilikuja nikawaambia budget yenye tunasomewa ni ya budget ya 3.9 trillion, 4 trillion. Okay, but KRA only collects 2.3, 2.5 trillion maximum. So hiyo ni kumaanisha every other amount ndio ufikie 4 trillion is borrowed. So when Ndindi Nyoro says we are borrowing 1.2 trillion per year, it is factual. It is factual because tumekuwa tukibudget for money that we don't have. So hiyo money tumekuwa tukiboro wapi? Tumekuwa tukiboro internationally na tumekuwa tukiboro kwa local banks. So listen to Ndindi Nyoro and then tell me wadau, why you still not angry? Kwa sababu ile tunafaa understand Mkenya ni hii. Wakati unasikia tuna borrow domestically, hiyo inamaanisha bank zitapatia serikali pesa. Kwa hivyo wewe na biashara yako kidogo, ukienda kwa bank kuomba pesa ununue stock, huwezi pewa pesa. Ukienda kwa bank upewe loan ili uongeze fleet ya magari zako, huwezi pewa loan. Ukienda kwa bank kuchukua mkopo ili ufanye farming, huwezi pewa loan. Ukienda kwa bank kukopa pesa ili uweze kujenga kanyumba kako, huwezi pewa loan. Ukienda kwa bank utakopa uko na mzigo yako unataka kuendea China uuze ulipe bank, hauwezi pewa loan. Kwa sababu ya nini? Pesa yote iko imeenda kwa serikali. Pesa yote imeenda kwa serikali. Wakati unasikia serikali every day deni inaongezeka, hiyo inamaanisha nini? Inamaanisha every finance bill ya kila mwaka itakuwa lazima inakuja na new tax measures. Kwa sababu ya nini? Gava haina do na inataka ku make sure ndio ilipe do. The only way government makes money is through taxing. Okay, and hizi vitu zenye wanalipishaga hizi import tax nini vitu kama hizo, the government does not do business. So kama gava ikutax, gava ina njia yote kutengeneza do. That is the only way government makes money. Government ina make do through taxing. Okay, so wadau nataka uniambie, listen to what Ndindi Nyoro is saying in this video and then tell me why you still do not understand why we are saying one term. Why you still don't understand when we are saying fagia water, when we are saying watu wote wamekuwa kwa system for 30-40 years of our lives, they cannot continue to exist. Please listen to Ndindi Nyoro. Listen to
the Talanta Stadium is also not part of the 12 trillion debt. That is another debt, securitization of the sports fund, where we borrowed 46 billion and will be paying 100 billion in interest rate alone after 15 years. Kenya has always had development for the many years, but we never had to borrow that much. President Kibaki did a lot of development. He borrowed only 1.2 trillion for 10 years. Where is the 1.2 trillion we are borrowing every year going?
Listen.
To make the matter worse, everything you see with your eyes happening in Kenya now, in terms of development, what you can see, for example, the expansion of this Keno Marwa Road, is not even part of the 12 trillion borrowed. Is another colon on the side called fuel levy securitization. Everything else you see in Kenya in terms of development, like even the Talanta Stadium, is also not part of the 12 trillion debt. That is another debt, securitization of the sports fund, where we borrowed 46 billion and will be paying 100 billion in interest rate alone after 15 years. Even the expansion of Nairobi-Nakuru Road is also not part of the 12 trillion you have borrowed. That is NSSF money being used as a PPP to build that road. I request those who are in government, you have already borrowed 1.2 trillion every year. And even what we can see with our eyes is actually not part of that borrowing. Please, kueni na huruma ya nchi ya Kenya. Even as we preside over the affairs of our country, let us be, tujue kwa akili zetu ya kwamba there is Kenya after elections. Let us not run our country in terms of overheating it. We must avoid to become like Sri Lanka. We must avoid to become like Ghana. We must avoid to become like Ethiopia. We must avoid to become like Zambia in the recent years. Because Kenya is a strong country with internal resources. This issue of profligate borrowing must come.
So I hope umejisikia wadau. I hope umesikia Dindinyoro. I hope umesikia Dindinyoro Kenya anasema wadau. Unajua Mkenya mwenzangu, the one thing you need to understand is this. You know why the reason mtu kama mimi uoga napata even when na lose hope, even when na feel like you people are not understanding, sitawacha kuongea. It is because through speaking like this, through kujaribu kufungua Kenya macho, that is the only way we are going to help this country. Wadau unafaa understand hivi. Unajua wengine wetu wakati tunasikia pesa zinatajwa kubwa, billions, trillions, hiyo kitu to understand. Na mimi nilisema mimi kama Wabesh, mimi understand. Because most Kenyans have never even seen 100,000, have never seen a 200 to 400,000 cash. Hawajawahi ona pesa. Mtu hajawahi shika pesa taslimu vikash. That is the reality of our lives. And hiyo ni kwa sababu tumeishi kugandamizwa kama nchi, tumeishi kugandamizwa na wanasiasa kiasi ya kwamba Wakenya wengi hawawezi ishi life ambayo iko na maana. Hawawezi ishi life to decent life. And it is because wanasiasa wetu wanathrive sisi kuwa maskini. Wanasiasa wetu wanathrive sisi kuwa beggars. Wanasiasa wetu wanathrive sisi kukuwa uneducated. Wanathrive sisi kukuwa tuko na ukabila na hatuna umoja. Kwa sababu ya nini? They cannot survive on anything else because most of them do not have anything on their brains. Most of these politicians, the only thing wanajua kufanya ni slogans. Most of them ndio maana unapataga election itaisha leo na badala yake afanye kazi kwa constituency yake ama kwa county yake, anaanza siasa kesho asubuhi. Kwa sababu ya nini? Hana kitu yote anaweza fanya wadau. Most of these politicians, the only thing anakuja kwa hiyo siasa kufanya ni akimaliza tu election hivi, the first thing ni kuanza kuiba pesa yenye alitumia kuwahonga. Ni kuanza kurudisha pesa yake. Akishamaliza kurudisha pesa yake na interest yenye aliwahonga, the next thing ni sasa kuanza kuiba pesa ya the next election. Kwa hivyo most of these politicians wadau unafaa uelewe ni akiingia hiyo miaka 4.5 years ama 5 years, miaka 2 ya kwanza ni ya kurudisha pesa yake yenye aliiba. Pesa yake yenye aliiba the previous term, ajirudishie na interest na alipewa na behero yenye alimpea support, okay? Ndio aweze kukua tajirudishia. Akishaanza kujirudishia, the next 2 years nazo zinakuga sasa kuiba the next money ya kuwahonga tena. Hiyo ndio kwa political cycle of most politicians. They do not offer anything wadau. Comrades, mimi nawaambia we are at war. We are at war to save our country. Na mimi I will keep saying it. We are at a critical juncture as a country. We are at a point whereby we can either save this country and or leave it to go to the wolves. We can either save this country ama tuwe kuwa slaves. Kwa sababu wadau wakati country iko na deni ya 12 trillion na tunaendelea kukopa, hiyo inamaanisha sisi hakuna siku tutawai kuwa self sufficient. Tutaishi kuwa slaves wa World Bank. Tutaishi kuwa World Bank wa hizi Bretton Woods institutions akina IMF na World Bank. Tutaishi kuwa sisi wazungu wataishi kutu control. Kwa sababu ya nini? Tuko na madeni huku kiasi ya kwamba hakuna kitu yote yenye yetu. That is why unaona huyu president ameuza kila kitu. Ameprivatize everything. Ameuza every single thing in Kenya. Even profit making organizations like Pipeline ameuza. Very soon Kenya Ports Authority itauzwa. Mimi nawaambia comrades, we are at war to save our country. We are at war to save our country, and that is why we cannot be silent. We are at war to save our country because if we have a debt of almost 12 trillion wadau, and still tunaambiwa kwa deni zingine zinaboroiwa zenye hata hazijako kwa hiyo debt book. What does that mean wadau? That means that these people do not care about this country wadau. We are at war, comrades, and we need to be serious about what we want with our country.
The unity of the mountain, the unity of Nyanza, but this unity is only the unity for the rich people from that place. In fact, the system that we have in Kenya produces the worst people in the most powerful position. I don't think that Gachagua represents the interests of the Kikuyu community, or I don't think President Ruto represents the interests of the entire Kalenjin community. But they want to put it as apparent that now that the Kalenjins are in power, the Kalenjins are happy. No, the truth of the matter that Kalenjins were in power for 24 years, and we still have poor Kalenjin people. So the unity that we must drive for based on ideology, because the political science is the science of distribution of resources. What we want, how are resources reaching to the most vulnerable people in this society? That resource can only reach through what we call in our own thinking, a different political ideology that actually battles the neo-colonial system that we have in Kenya, because President Ruto himself and the previous political leaders in our country do not make decisions of this country. In fact, what we need to fight for this country as the young people is a national sovereignty to complete our independence, because we cannot have our former colonizers, the Western ruling class, deciding on behalf of how our country is being governed. It actually annoys me that in less than 5 years, we have surrendered almost 60% of our sovereignty to the Western Empire. Since 2022, we have the United States, for example, building an air base in our country in Wajir. We have the Batuk that still exists in Nanyuki. So how is it possible that we're a sovereign country? So what should you be uniting the young people is that the Kenyan must unite to make the decision for the Kenyan people on their own behalf. If we say that, then we will bring out what President Ruto last time called the hustlers versus dynasty, to bring the real hustler, because the real hustlers are the poor people. But now we are seeing that only lip service. The UDA wants to talk and put a lie on top of a lie, but they do not want to do anything for the benefit of the Kenyan majority.
Would such a shift risk undermining democratic institutions, do you think?
My argument is this: you undermine democratic institutions when you start circumventing the provisions of the Constitution. Because what the other side is propagating is that let us conduct elections after the 5th year. Let's conduct the elections in the 6th year without any legal foundation. So today we say we are accepting 6th year. Tomorrow you'll have a dictator worse than William Ruto and says, no, since you didn't conduct in the 5th year, conduct it in the 7th year. Another one will come up and say, no, since we are now doing it outside the Constitution, there is no red line where to stop.
Right.
You are better off adhering to the black and white letter of the law, because that is predictable, as opposed to leaving it to whims. Because when you leave it to whims, today you may say you are putting pressure on others.
Wow.
Umevuka kwa mwendo wa aste
na
kuunga mjadala unaosema.
Honestly, you know how it got me? Because of that. That thing of that thing of where you give people an inch and they take a mile. It is my life's mantra not to give the inch so
that they don't take the mile. So what happens now?
Mr. President, let's be honest. You're the only one still bringing up tribalism like it's 1990. We're not fighting over tribes. We're struggling with joblessness, high taxes, police violence, and broken promises. Every time we speak up, you throw in tribal lines hoping we'll look the other way. But guess what? We won't. We're Gen Z. We've got receipts, internet, and zero chill for bad leadership. We don't care what tribe you're from. If you're not serving the people, we'll say it loud. Stop using tribalism to cover failure. It's tired. It's weak. Fix the economy. Protect our freedoms. Respect the people. We've moved on. Maybe it's time you did too.
Safina Party is all about the economy. It is the economy, stupid. And those who will see that it is the economy will join Safina Party. And there are many people who have expressed interest to even contest for positions on Safina Party tickets. At the right time, we are also going to unveil our machine. The engine has been turned on. Safina is coming. You know, a ship comes slowly and gently. You may think you are seeing a small speck somewhere at the back. Before you know it, you see a massive ship. That is Safina. Safina Party, the economy.
So the act is coming.
The act is coming. There are many Kenyans who are joining Safina Party in drafts, and I urge anybody who wishes to join Safina Party. Star 509 hash. Our party code is 034. Safina Party, the vessel for economic emancipation of our people. It's not about legacy politicians, it's about the people and giving power to the hands of the people. That is what Safina Party stands for. And for the first time since independence, let's have an opportunity for our politics to be about the people and giving power to the people, not retaining power in the hands of legacy politicians. And we've always said 2 key components that we'll work on. On the economy, we are very clear, no odious debt. What that means is free education from primary to tertiary, free healthcare. We are going to reduce VAT, 16% VAT, we are going to do away with it. And we are also going to give people an opportunity to get access to credit. The money that is held by banks, government should not borrow that money. That money should be available to Kenyans to borrow.
Okay.
And what that means is this. Interest rates will fall to even 3%. You borrow 1 million, your repayment is only 30,000 in terms of interest.
Okay.
In a year. You borrowed 1 million, you're paying interest of only 30,000. What can't you do? And OCPDs must be elected by the people. It's time the people take control of their security by electing the above. Orders from above will never come from Nairobi. The above will be the people. That is Safina. Anybody who believes in that, welcome to the ark.
Well, we wish you all the best. You said it's 18th of September.
Yes.
Ruto simpigi kura. Amenajisi nchi. Bila kutumia hata kondom.
This is Selector Dede.
Wanadhani ya si bongo lala, ikikupita we bongo lala, na walosema jana iwezi fika leo, tuko ground tunasoza. Akijikuku mewaka sana, na mabisto na chafua raja, na walosema jana iwezi fika leo, tuko ground tunasoza. Hakuna mboka, peleke shuleni watasoma, madaktari wamegoma, hapa sani Yesu atatuponya. Wambie punde imechoka sana, farasi bado ijapatikana, ni mandai wanagonya na mali wanaponda, unakonda wananona. Mandamano, 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 amise mandamano, mandamano, mandamano,